All right, welcome back. Today, we are diving into a question that, let's be honest, every single developer and IT leader has to face. You've poured everything into building this amazing application, but now what? Where does it actually live? Deciding where to place that workload, public cloud, private cloud, maybe a mix of both? Well, it has massive implications. So let's figure out how to find its perfect home.
And just to set the stage here, this is part 4 of our 5-part tutorial. We're working from a guide by Virtualization Options LLC that's all about figuring out if a workload should go into a private or public cloud. Today, we're digging into Chapter 4, and this is where it gets really interesting because it's all about the workload's own personality, its characteristics. This is where the real decision-making kicks off. Which brings us right back to that big question. It sounds so simple, right? Where should it live? But wow, the answer to that one question, it literally dictates everything. Your costs, how secure you are, your performance, even your ability to grow down the road. This isn't just some techie detail, it is a deeply strategic choice. Okay, so let's jump into our first scenario. I want you to picture a workload that we'll call the unpredictable grower. You know the type. Maybe it's a small app today, but it has the potential to just explode. It could go viral overnight or see these wild swings in demand. This is your classic candidate for the public cloud. So what do these growers actually look like in the wild? Well, think about dev and test environments. You need to spin them up fast and tear them down just as quickly, right? You definitely don't want to pay for hardware that's just sitting there doing nothing. Or think about a website or a web app that has to handle a sudden flood of users after a marketing campaign. And then you've got big data analytics. I mean, those apps are literally built from day one to harness the kind of massive scale that only the public cloud can really offer. So it all boils down to one core idea: variable demand. I mean, if you have no idea what your resource needs are going to be next month, does it really make sense to buy and maintain a ton of servers for a peak you might only hit once a year? Of course not. That's what makes a public cloud's pay-as-you-go model so powerful. It's perfectly designed for this problem. It takes what would be a huge upfront cost and turns it into a much more manageable monthly bill. Okay, but what if your biggest worry isn't wild growth, but the complete opposite? Predictable, ironclad control. Well, that brings us to our second character. Let's call it the Fort Knox. This is for those workloads where things like security, compliance, and performance are just totally non-negotiable. So what exactly are we locking up inside this fortress? We're talking about the really sensitive stuff. Think financial data, patient health records, anything where the regulations are super strict. A private cloud is also the perfect home for those old-school legacy apps that are picky and need specific, maybe even ancient hardware to run. And of course, for any system where every single millisecond is critical, like high-frequency trading, that guaranteed, rock-solid performance of a private cloud is an absolute must. And the core principle here is basically the mirror image of the public cloud. It's all about predictable control. You get a dedicated environment, what we call single tenant, which just means it's all yours. You're not sharing resources with anyone. This gives you the power to set your own security rules, to guarantee that your data stays in a certain country for compliance reasons, and you completely avoid that noisy neighbor problem you can get in the public cloud, where someone else's busy app slows yours down. Bottom line, you are in complete command. Okay, so we've got the unpredictable grower living happily in the public cloud, and Fort Knox secure in the private cloud. But let's be real, the real world is almost never that black and white, is it? Most companies have a mix of both types of workloads, and that, my friends, is where the really smart strategy comes in, the hybrid solution. Now, building a hybrid strategy isn't as simple as just using two clouds. No, it's a very deliberate process. It all starts with assessment. You have to really get to know the unique needs of every single one of your applications. Next up is architecture, which is all about designing a secure and reliable bridge between your public and private worlds. Then you've got implementation, where you roll out tools that let you manage everything from one central place, a single pane of glass. And finally, there's optimization. And this is key because this is never, ever a set it and forget it kind of deal. You have to constantly be checking in, making sure you're getting the best performance for the best cost. And hey, this isn't just some abstract theory. The tools to actually pull this off are very real and getting better all the time. A fantastic example is something like Microsoft Azure Arc. Think of it as giving you one single dashboard, a control plane, to manage and secure your apps no matter where they are running. We're talking your own data center, AWS, Google Cloud, out on the edge, everywhere. It's this kind of technology that takes a super complex hybrid strategy and makes it not just possible, but actually manageable.
What's so powerful about this way of thinking, matching the workload to its perfect home, is that it's totally future-proof. Let's put it to the test. Let's apply this framework to two of the absolute biggest trends that are shaping all of technology right now: AI and edge computing. A single AI app is actually the perfect poster child for a hybrid workload. Think about it. First, you have the training phase. This is where you're just shoveling enormous amounts of data into the model. It takes a crazy amount of specialized computing power, which is a perfect job for the public cloud, where you can rent all that horsepower and scale it up as needed. But then you have the inference phase. This is when the AI is actually out in the world making split-second decisions. That has to be lightning fast, which makes it an ideal job for a private cloud or an edge device, where there's almost no delay. And make no mistake, getting this AI placement right is a huge, huge deal for business. Just look at the numbers. The projected spending on AI infrastructure is on track to hit $45 billion by 2027. That's the kind of scale we're dealing with here.
Now let's look at the other side of this coin, the absolute explosion happening at the edge. By 2025, experts are expecting 75 billion connected IoT devices to be out there in the world. We're talking about everything from smart cars to factory sensors, and all of them are creating data that's miles and miles away from a big central cloud.
And here's the thing. For those devices to actually be useful in something like a self-driving car or a smart factory, they have to respond almost instantly. The target delay, or latency, is less than 5 milliseconds. There is just no way you can achieve that if you have to send data all the way to a data center and wait for a response. The number crunching has to happen right there on the spot. So when you look at all of this, from simple websites to incredibly complex AI models, we land on one single ultimate message. We have to stop thinking public cloud first or private cloud first. The smartest, most effective strategy is always to let the workload's own unique needs, its demand for security, performance, scale, be the thing that decides where it's going to live. And that really brings us to the final critical question that I want you to think about. Take an honest look at your own setup. Is your cloud strategy really being driven by what each individual workload actually needs? Or is it being swayed by the latest buzzword or industry hype? Because honestly, the answer to that one question could define your success.